debate that's not settled yet.
All right.
We need a carbon tax to solve the problem.
About debate.
I know there's a lot of debate, but can you wait until the science is settled?
Can we throw tax money at the
There's
problem?
no such thing as settled science.
No, that's what I mean. So you cannot wait.
It's a process.
Well, yeah.
So we should throw money stolen from taxpayers to try and solve an issue that may or may not be the issue.
Who agrees with that? Who agrees with that climate change should not be an issue and we shouldn't do
it? I said
okay.
there isn't a consensus on how to fight the issue, whether the issue is man-made.
Well, let's assume. Let's say we try to agree on the fact that renewable energy is part of that solution.
What about for countries like Africa and India that are still trying to develop, and it's too expensive for them to have renewable energy sources?
That's why we should help. That's why we should help each other. That's why where we started the discussion. That's why the world community should work together.
How do you help Africa develop with renewable energy?
By making it cheaper. China itself does a good job in that, by the way. So.
How about regulation?
I think it helps. I think it's needed. You need to regulate coal-fired power stations in order to become cleaner. And with that, they become a little more expensive, and that makes renewable energy more competitive.
Have you read the IPCC reports, or only the conclusions?
I've read most of it, by the way, because I'm a scientist myself, and I work for Greenpeace. So that's why I'm having more than.
Is that a good thing, working for Greenpeace?
I'm not sure. I liked it. Mm-hmm.
A lot of people have separated from Greenpeace because of their agenda and the way their agenda has evolved.
All right, so Greenpeace is now also part of the conspiracy.
People say they hold back development, they hold back third world countries with the policies that they're pushing.
That's a good dilemma. That's true. That's a dilemma. So that's also why you shouldn't be too. Let's say you cannot make a radical change. I mean, countries have to develop, and they need energy for that. And most of the energy is polluting energy at the moment.
You don't think countries can develop by being left alone?
Yeah.
Do you think global governance is a given when it comes to having success on the environmental front globally?
No, I don't think in terms of global government, but I do think in terms of global cooperation is the only way.
Governance.
Yeah, governance. Yeah. You're right. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Right word.
Company.
Thanks.
Global company to oversee CO2 taxes and regulations.
Well, I don't think that will work. A company shouldn't be global. I mean, we have now multinationals all over the place. You're filming from one, so that's a given. But I think governance should be democratic. Governance should be open.
What is the role of Bilderberg owning the private society, owning the earth?
Hold on, we do one question at a time, shall we?
What about private companies, or even let's say some country states owning the planet and the resources and privatizing them and taking away from people?
We should prevent that. We should prevent that, and in most Western countries, that's due to property rights made by governments, democratic governments. That's a success. It's a problem in some countries in Africa.
But Africa is the richest continent in the planet, and
still is,
because we have raped the continent and taken the resources. Yeah. Is there any opening to give them back their land?
Maybe the analysis is a bit longer if you elaborate it, but I do agree that that's a big problem, and we need to do the same in Africa as we did here with property rights and regulation and trying to get companies. The rule of law.
But you see, the people they start taking in some politicians who, like for example, Mossadegh in Iran. As soon America comes in and puts in a puppet, president to withhold, for example, the oil to BP oil in Iran. I mean,
I don't think the U.S. considers the Iranian regime a puppet of them.
Oh, but 53 they did. Because every time there comes a movement within a country where they want to take back their resources, America or the CIA or whoever comes in and tries to hold it in the hands of the American or the international.
That's what democratic governments are for, to prevent such things from happening, and it's not always successful. I mean, we know the history. We have a history of war.
Samsom, you keep saying we, and we should help these countries, and
I mean we as a people.
All right, but do you think that has done more harm than good in the past, and maybe we should try to leave these places alone instead of intervening all the time, because there's so many unforeseen consequences? I'm asking what you think about that.
I don't think so.
No, you think we should intervene and impose?
We should help each other.
What we believe.
But
But historically, the help hasn't resulted in anything positive.
I don't think so.
No?
You look at Eastern Europe. I mean, we've sort of helped each other. And now
Eastern Europe, like Russia.
No, Eastern Europe, I mean. Russia is just east of Eastern Europe. But
We're
Eastern Europe itself, I mean, countries like Poland and Czechoslovakia and Hungary, Bulgaria, they're rapidly improving right now. They're rapidly improving their living standards. They're democracies, not fast enough in some countries, but we're helping each other. The European Union is sort of a system in which you try to help each other.
The Euro's definitely helped everyone, right?
No, but nothing helps everyone. I mean, there's no such thing as an absolute right and an absolute wrong. You have.
Yes, what is the role of Bilderberg in a democratic society?
I think it's just a conference like loads of those conferences where scientists, politicians, businessmen meet each other and exchange views.
But isn't that naive?
No,
why wouldn't you, everybody's there for their interess, I guess.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Otherwise
But I'm not naive. Everybody is there with its own luggage, its own interest, its own knowledge.
And you have the impression that there's no a further inner circle, or
No.
like.
There's loads of outer circles. You are one of them,
Yes.
literally at the moment. But I mean, there's loads of places where people meet each other that have different interests.
Yeah.
This is one of them. I'm not naive. That's how the world goes.
No,
that's
but
how you go too.
It's media moguls, oil tycoons. It's
Business people, and elected politicians that are responsible to you or to the public.
Yeah, but it's
You're not Dutch, but anyway.
It's not. It doesn't feel representative at all. I don't feel.
but not
I
every
have
meeting.
anything to do with that.
But tomorrow I'm going, the day after tomorrow I'm going back to Parliament in the Netherlands. So then I'm in a public place, but I'm not always in a public place.
What party are you representing?
Social Democrats.
What's your view on the fact that the CO2 comes after the warming period?
Nice. That's a long discussion, but I think if you
Why is it a long discussion?
because it's a long time that you have to look at. But if you look at the data from 1700 to right now, you can see that it's actually the other way around. Sorry about that.
What about
There's a few periods in which it is what you said,
What
so
about
warming and then
Earth?
CO2. But it's
you think it's a
now a
direct-
scientific discussion. I'm sorry, but it's influencing each other. So it's a circle.
What about
CO2
there a
rises,
direct
it warms,
correlation?
and it creates more CO2 because of tundra melting, etc. That happened in the past. That's happening right now.
Carboniferous period, they had the lowest amount of CO2 in the hottest climate, so there can be a completely direct link in there.
No, it's nice. I mean, I know those discussions. It's nice.
What about the Dutch royals being represented here? What do you feel about royalty coming to a meeting with elected officials when we as European people have normally been raised in the culture that our
But my
royals
country
are
is
just meaningless?
I know. But my country is
symbols of our
they
countries.
are in the Netherlands.
Why are they
The royal
so
family has a
powerful
symbolic.
like you?
No. They meet. They're part of society. I meet the Queen sometimes, not too often, and you can meet her if you want to.
Can we?
I was a
Could you
royal
take
guard
us
once,
to
so
her?
I have met the Danish Queen myself.
what
However,
I mean.
I do think that it is wrong for royalty to be in a meeting with elected representatives and so many others in such a closed forum. It's an extreme democratic deficit, and it's a very dangerous signal to send to the democratic
the symbol there is
if you think
despotism.
if you think so, it's all right. But I meet with the Queen or the King. We now have a king. She's now our princess.
I know she was.
So and I meet once in a while with the king, which is always the closed meeting. There's never anything said about it, and it's nothing to do with Bilderberg. It's every 2 months, because we have a constitutional monarchy. It's different, complex, and I'm not in real favor of it, but we have it.
Same structure in Denmark.
Same structure in Denmark, same structure in Sweden. In Sweden, it's a little more symbolic. But now in the Netherlands, the monarchy hasn't anything to say in the democratic process. Nevertheless, the monarchy is part of the constitution. I'm part of the constitution as an elected member of parliament. So we have to meet each other somehow, somewhere. And I can tell you the discussions are not changing the world.
But you can see why from the outside it looks a bit suspicious.
Well, it does for the whole Netherlands, but the Netherlands are used to it. Denmark is used to it. I think Spain is used to it.
I don't think they're used to it. I think people, they get very, very shocked when they hear that royalty are meeting with power brokers in such a close
How do you
forum.
reconcile?
They do every day.
People don't know.
But they do every day.
See now how people
They do every month.
How is
We
that
have
a
our
justification?
prime minister, who then is now, appointed to all kind of different jobs, and they.
Is it? Is she?
Anders Fogh Rasmussen.
Oh, Rasmussen. Yeah.
But I mean, you just see these people, they're doing these things, they go to war there, just see like these people are like not a part of us. They're having their own little club where they're doing their power games.
I can understand you think so, but for instance, for NATO, the appointment of NATO, the NATO commander, no, it's not the commander, the Secretary General, thank you, is done by all 28 members of NATO, and they're all 28 governments. And in this case, they're all 28 democratically elected governments.
But every NATO
So
Secretary General
you're saying it is very small, like mine, from the Netherlands, but we all have a say in it. That's the
they all
democratic.
came to Bilderberg before they became NATO Secretary General.
No.
So
Rasmussen was the prime minister before he became
but he
NATO.
was a Bilderberg member too, years ago.
Is there Bilderberg membership? I'm attending the meeting.
Attendee.
Yeah, attendee.
Attendee.
Yeah.
So does Bilderberg have an influence in picking NATO members or other politicians?
I don't think
No
so.
grooming.
Jens Stoltenberg is now the new to-be appointed NATO Secretary General. I'm not sure whether he was on this list, but
So you think
I don't think-
Bilderberg's supposed function as a kingmaker function is a myth?
I think it's a myth, yes.
Why is the mayor of Atlanta?
I mean, there's so many meetings like this. So many. So if there's kingmaker meetings, there's other candidate meetings.
What about Connie Hedegaard and the fact that she's now the
Sorry, Dave?
To change the government of the country. They can move the thread like they have done in Italy,
Yeah, but it's
When
only.
they have
Oh, right.
to send away Berlusconi,
Well, I'm not sure whether
Berlusconi was the worst
I'm not
person
sure
to
whether
ruin the
somebody
policy,
moved the spread.
No one.
Financial markets refused to lend
No,
money.
they have done that.
Who's
They
they?
came in Italy just to do that.
No, but who's
moment.
they?
In that moment, you can read what everybody knows in this moment. What happened that time.
But I wasn't one of them then,
I mean,
because
there are
I don't know.
families. Like the Rothschilds, for example, or the Rockefellers. They are like very powerful families who have some very influential.
And that's why we need governments to oversee banks and to regulate banks.
Yeah,
For
but
instance,
who
in the banking
oversees
union.
Bilderberg? Who
Sorry?
oversees Bilderberg? Who oversees
The Rothschilds.
all your talks?
Well,
all your
basically,
documents and
Bilderberg is
communications?
not. Bilderberg is a meeting in there. I'm walking outside. You oversee me. Well, not the Dutch people oversee me, and there's other politicians inside that you can vote for or against.
But to a certain degree, only they're very. In Denmark, they've made laws now, so we can't really look into what they're doing.
Is that correct? Is that true?
Yeah, offentlighed's law it's called in Denmark. So they're making more and more laws to put a bigger and bigger distance between the people and the people.
Then you should throw them away if you don't like it.
But
there's no
It doesn't seem to be
alternative.
working.
Why not? Every 4 years you have an election.
Yeah, but we don't choose.
Wow,
We
we're
are
grateful.
all
They
leaders.
don't speak about serious things
So
in the
grateful.
election.
Well then,
The serious things they have to
but
talk
you know
about
what you.
that in that moment
But
in
you are
time,
a
they
person
give
with.
something like for the
You
poor
can vote.
people.
You can vote. You know what you think is important.
yes.
So you
Yeah,
vote
if
for
look
what
at
you think is
history, voting
important.
has done a great justice to the
I
people.
don't think that the Danish they vote to send their son to the American wars to die in Afghanistan.
I don't think so
I
either.
don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Many boys they died
I know.
because someone wants to become secretary of NATO. You understand what
I don't
mean?
think so.
am
I don't
not
think
Danish.
that was
I could see
the.
that.
I don't think that was the reason.
Please.
George Bush, his assistant later on admitted that he's together with Anders Fogh Rasmussen had discussion to give him this position in NATO.
But you had-
if
we had
Denmark
sim-
would join the
we had-
Afghanistan
But
war.
we had similar discussions in the Netherlands with Secretary General Jaap de Hoop Scheffer. He was a Dutchman.
Yeah.
But that's a discussion you have. I mean, there's always people who think or have good reasons to think that this was
But that
something behind it.
But
And
there
then
are-
you have a democratic discussion.
But
and if you don't agree with it, you send the politicians away. But that did it.
No,
That's
you can't.
how
But-
it works.
but he's-
1 million people on the street demonstrating against the
But
Irish law.
there's 90 million Britons. So
Yeah, but-
I'm sorry about. In the end,
1 million on the street, you know how much that is.
Well,
1
in-
million on the street.
and then they had an election.
Yeah, but nothing happened.
No, that's not true. Labour lost.
Yeah, but who
Partly
cares
because
about
of the.
these people?
Partly because of the Iraq War.
No one went to jail. No one was,
Maybe but that's different. If you don't agree with somebody, he doesn't have to go to jail.
But it's proven that.
Yes, they have to go to jail
if they do something wrong in the criminal court.
The Danish army has handed out people to the Danish military that later on has been tortured and sent to Guantanamo Bay. That is a direct violation of the UN law.
And then a judge should judge about that.
Yeah, but no court will take these people to court. We have tried in Denmark with Mr. Anders Fogh Rasmussen. The judge will not take this court up because he's now the NATO General Secretary.
No. I think, and I mean, as a politician, I have to be careful about the court because we are not only a democracy, we are also a justice system.
Yeah.
So, and politicians shouldn't interfere with courts. So if you go to the court and you say, I have somebody here who did something wrong in the criminal justice system, then
several people have tried to prosecute Mr. Hans Christian Anders Fogh.
Who are you from? Who are you from? You can keep it if you want to. Who are you from? I ask all kinds of. I answer all kinds of questions. Now you do.
Can I ask you a question about policy making? Can you confirm or deny if Bilderberg is part of policy making process transnationally or multinationally speaking, or global governance, if you will? Is this part of the policy making process in your view?
I deny the fact that there is the policy making process as such, but
consensus.
Going in there learns me something. I'm going out of there.
With certain narratives, right?
I go out of there with new information.
Well,
I can tell you, I go out of here with new information. I'm a politician. I take all kinds of information from all kinds of parts of society.
Why have they
inside that hotel, outside the hotel, here on this parking lot.
Why did they send
and
you
then
to
I go
talk
home and I decide what to vote in. And I think I use some of the information you gave me, or you.
So institutional learning.
Process. I mean, it's a process. Politicians should be accountable and should try to become better every day. So that's why I go to a meeting in which I learn new things, for instance about privacy and about the way we gather information about each other. I learned a lot about that.
Are they trying to improve privacy for citizens?
I think you, with all those cameras here, know a lot about intrusion of privacy.
Well, this is a public space.
That's true.
But our privacy being intruded on, cops break down our doors.
This intrusion of
when we have.
No. But I was just joking about the fact that there's a load of cameras.
We don't think it's a joke. We're really sad that we don't see that as a democracy.
No, it's not. That's
really
not
sad
democracy.
if you guys are manipulating.
No, but you are not democracy either. You feel democracy. I mean, you're part of democracy.
We don't want democracy. We want freedom.
Do you think this
democracy is not freedom? It's slavery.
Since when is democracy? I mean, I have to disagree with you strongly that democracy and freedom is something that is counter. That is not the same.
It has been for a long time because if the majority votes, if the majority votes for somebody to go to jail, that's innocent. That's not freedom, is it?
I think you and Peter Thiel could find some common sense, or not?
If you have a republic and you have certain inherent rights that are granted to you by nature or God or whatever, but it's also reinforced by a document which is adhered to instead of having monarchy working with democracy somehow. Democracy isn't the milestone of freedom, is it?
No, it's not perfect, but I think it's a needed piece of the puzzle to create freedom for everybody. One piece of the puzzle. We need loads more of that. We need laws.
Oligarchy is the answer. Oligarchy is
no, I don't think there's one answer.
What do you
No, I think democracy is a very important piece of the puzzle.
Ruled by oligarchy or what?
Democratic
ruled by
republic.
you.
What do you think about
ruled
a
by the
republic
public
system?
Sorry?
What do you think more of a republic system?
I like it.
Where a democracy can't overrule certain rights, like the right to your privacy, right to life.
But why? Who's then overruling something? Nobody.
Because if in a democracy, if you do vote for something democratically,
but in a republic
then the
you vote for a
majority,
president.
Yes, there's certain things you should be able to vote for in democracy, but with a republic, you can't vote for certain inherent rights.
Inherent rights?
So you can't vote for a war, an aggression, because that is against somebody's rights. That should not be a democratic process.
And who decides then who goes to war?
Exactly.
Yeah, but who? In your system?
there shouldn't be wars.
Well, that's
right?
nice. Yeah, I like that.
Stop paying tax to war.
Because if we fund,
I like that.
we can't fund war.
No, I know, but
also maybe a more direct
It's a
democratic
result.
element.
Yeah. War is a
Switzerland.
result of our
Because
system.
if we only have representative democracy where we can vote for a representative every 4 years, it's really.
Okay. I see what your point, but that's not.
what I'm saying is
you were not
democracy-
saying the same thing, but
Yeah.
I agree. I see your point. It's Switzerland or California, if you want.
Yeah, Switzerland didn't go to war, do they?
Well, Switzerland was never conquered, but had some wars. Yeah, but they have large mountains and
But there
they're
wasn't
very
an
difficult to take out.
invasive.
And they have some gold in the bank. So, but Switzerland has a
wars.
direct democracy, which is a little different from the democracy we have.
Very
you can
different.
very different. If you prefer that,
also have
there's not a fundamental difference between the two types of democracy. I think it could work.
I just think
In
the
a com-
system encourages
I think
war.
in a large country with a complex society, I think it's difficult, but it can work.
Something you discussed in there? Or?
No, not here. But I discussed it a lot of times at home. For instance, we proposed a referendum law in the Netherlands to add to the representative democracy. I think that's actually the best way to have a representative democracy, because you don't want to go out every day outside on a parking space and vote.
Would you support
No, you can do that on the
a
internet.
popular referendum around the world demanding openness from Bilderberg?
Well, that would be nice, but I don't think it's the most important issue to vote on. I think there's more important issues to vote. And you said a referendum around the world. That requires referendum laws on every place of this earth. That's quite difficult.
So
But
removing
it's something to
secrecy is
strive
not a
for.
priority.
About what?
But I remove secrecy myself. I don't have your vote for that.
Why
thank you
are
for
you a
that, but you're
spokesperson
only
for the
one
Bilderberg
person.
group?
No, I'm myself.
We want the third dimension. We want only one power.
And that is?
Yes, this is objective.
No.
Yes. You want
Well,
to destroy the government.
Okay, if it's
everything.
let's say
but
if
the
it's the
people are
objective
there.
of that meeting, I didn't discover it
They
yet after
move
2 days.
everything, they move the wars, they do what they want.
You
you know.
always back two
Before
sides
they-
of a conflict. Back Hitler and Churchill during the Second World War. So that whoever wins is in your pocket. So that's how you get.
Who's your at the moment?
What you say?
Who's your?
Well, I am referring to Bilderberg Illuminati.
Okay.
You always back
Bilderberg
both
was
sides
only
of
after the
conflict.
war.
You always back both sides of the conflict, so that the winner
wasn't-
would be in your pocket.
But you have to speak to me, and I wasn't born then. But I
Of
wasn't,
course, but you must be aware of the
And
history.
Bilderberg wasn't born either then. He was 75.
No, it was called Illuminati back then. It was Illuminati back then. But overall, Illuminati and
Do you
Bilderberg
believe that the truth will set you free, and do you believe it's a good thing for the people to be free?
Yes,
Why don't
I
you
think that's two very fundamental things that you just said there. It's hard to agree on what the truth is all the time, though. And therefore we have a democracy in which you discuss about what we just discussed climate change. And to be honest, expecting you here on this place, I expected a group that was unisono of the opinion that climate change is something that we should try to prevent.
That's ridiculous.
And there we are.
And we know it.
That's nice.
And I believe that you're lying.
And do you agree with him all? Do you all agree with him?
Yeah.
So CO2 is not a big problem.
Do you guys think that IPCC is a good thing? Is IPCC a genuine scientific thing?
Well, no, I'm not going to speak in public.
Why don't you think more people are coming out?
This is
Mr.
what I
Samsom,
say.
why don't you think more people are coming out like you and trying to gauge us?
I don't know.
I mean,
I don't control them. They don't control me.
Are you just, have a positive outlook on us?
Well, that's up to you to judge.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They don't
Maybe I
wanna
have a very
engage.
negative outlook on you.
Maybe you do, and I'm trying to gauge you now.
Then it would be a bad thing for me to be out here, eh?
I don't
we
know.
have a vote here about the climate change hoax?
I think so.
Yeah, let's do that. Okay.
Climate change is a
Everybody who believes that the climate change thing is a hoax, raise your hand.
Please give us the stream.
It's a hoax. It's a hoax.
Not climate change.
Well, then we democratically agree that climate change is a hoax.
Thank you. Thank you. It's now official.
Okay.
But you would certainly be somewhat informed about the 9/11 situation, how it was carried out, and who is behind the 9/11. You're not involved.
I'm so happy.
If he were, he would not be standing out here.
Because it is very evident now by all the scientists.